say that to you?
I don't.
Oh, this is a great story. He was the minor league director when I was drafted in 1976. I was playing semi-pro baseball out in Eureka, California. My dad was at my house. Hank Aaron was the minor league director. I get drafted in the 5th round in 1976. Hank Aaron calls my house. My dad answers the phone. And he says, Mr. Benedict? He said, yeah. He goes, this is Hank Aaron, Atlanta Braves. He says, yeah, right. Hangs up. Hank Aaron, it's a true story. Hank calls back, says the same thing. Mr. Benedict, your son Bert Benedict, yeah, right. Hangs up. Hangs up on Hank Aaron. Finally, the 3rd time, he said, Dave, we drafted your son in the 5th round. Please don't hang up, whatever. So I said to my dad's dying dad, I said, Dad, you're the only human being in the history of the world in communication that's hung up on Hank Aaron twice on a phone call. But that happened. My dad was in Omaha, Nebraska. After that, my dad called me. I was in Eureka, California, playing for the Humboldt State Crabs, and then flew to Atlanta and worked out, and then signed.
I might say about Hank. I was in the major leagues when he took over the minor leagues, so I didn't really have like direct contact with him, but he came down and talked to me, about hitting every once in a while, but he never came down unless he was invited. He, I'm sure he was up there a lot of times in his office, Fulton County stand going, what is Murph doing? But he always respected our hitting coaches, and when he came down there and talked to me about hitting, I'd be like in the back of my mind, yeah, you're Hank Aaron. Yeah, well. It's like when I met Ted Williams at the Hall of Fame game one year, guys. Remember we used to do that? He watched all the games on TBS. And he goes, Dave Murphy, yeah, good to meet you. This is Ted Williams. You got to get a better pitch to hit. I'm like, you're Ted Williams, man. That's easy for you to say. You struck out 20 times a year. Anyway.
You mentioned maybe Snit could shed some light on this a little bit because he called all the time. We lost Phil Negro in the last year. And ladies and gentlemen, maybe the finest Hall of Famer, maybe of all time that you would ever come across, and a nice person.
It was pretty amazing to have Hank and Nuxie. I mean, some really great individuals. Let me just ask Benny this. What did Nuxie say about you in the Hall of Fame?
Every place I ever went with Phil, and we did some charity stuff every year, the first thing he said, he goes, I'm not in the Hall of Fame without him.
watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Welcome into On Deck. As always, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Really do appreciate it. While you're here, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell for notifications so that you know next time we go live and anytime we drop a video. You don't want to miss the content that we put out. We put it out pretty regularly, so make sure you do like and subscribe. It's how this channel grows. Really do appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. It was a big win for the Braves tonight, getting started this time off to a good start in the series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves do win this one 8-5. A lot to go through here, but I think a good starting point would obviously be the guy on the mound. And we talked about this a lot last night in the live stream, so if you missed it, sorry about that. But what I will tell you is what we talked about last night, that I expected Dylan Dodd to start this game. Of course, we found out that that would be the case. And we also talked about the positives and the negatives of that. So let's first off talk about what the positives were. The positives were you were going to have a guy that was going to cover 5 to 6 innings. The negatives were you didn't know what those innings were going to look like. And they weren't perfect tonight. I think we can all agree there. You know, his ability to go long into games isn't there, because when you go 5 innings, you give up 7 hits and you give up 4 earned runs, it's of course not going to be the exact recipe for success for normal situations with a starting pitcher. However, in this scenario, you're not asking Dylan Dodd to come in and single-handedly win the ball game. What you're asking Dylan Dodd to do is to give you a chance to win the ball game. And you have to give credit where credit is due. Dylan Dodd gave the Braves a chance to win tonight, and that's all they were asking for. That's all they really needed. And if you're wondering, well, how did he give up the runs? I'll give you the summary. First off, in the top of the second, Bohm homered to center, scoring him and Realmuto. Stott then gave up a double to Stott. Really, all of it came in the second inning. After that, it was pretty minimal until the top of the 5th, where Harper would homer. But guys, this is a good lineup full of heavy hitters, full of guys that can take you deep. And you know what? To only give up 4 runs across 5 innings for Dylan Dodd's specific case, you know, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's a lot better than wasting your entire bullpen on the game, and I think we're all in agreement there. I think we're past that. I think we are beyond the idea of the bullpen game. I don't think the Braves, unless you see something drastically change, I don't think the Braves are going to go with a bullpen, especially considering not only do you have Dylan Dodd, but you also have another option in Michael Soroka. We've heard Snicker talk about it. He is a legit candidate. He is sitting on go as of this point. So whenever the Braves feel like they need to put someone in there, they have Soroka to turn to. And that may not be an immediate great option, but it's an immediate option that they can, again, turn to. The real star of the show tonight was Austin Riley. No doubt about it. He had 2 homers tonight, once in the first inning and once in the bottom of the 5th, that really put the Braves up. He had a 2-run homer, him and Olsen both scoring on that one. And, of course, in the bottom of the 5th, he had a solo shot to put the Braves up 5-4 at that point. He untied the game that Harper tied in the top of that inning. So Riley, I would say, offensively was the star of the show, but he wasn't the only one. There was the 8th inning surge that the Braves had, the bottom of the 8th, where you were tied 5-5, and all of a sudden it became 8-5, thanks to d'Arnaud, who knocked in 2 runs, and Olsen with a sac fly. Other than that, some stars that I really wanted to point out, some guys that, or a guy that really had a game that I think we need to at least mention. Of course, last night we saw Ozzie Albies walk it off with a sac fly. You know, that's something that I think could turn Ozzie over a little bit, because Ozzie needed something to get him going. Ozzie has been struggling through the year. I don't know what his average is on the top of my hand, but I think we're all aware that he's been battling a little bit of struggles. But tonight he was 2 for 4. He scored a run. I mean, that's the type of turnaround that we could see. The other guy that we have to mention, don't worry, Bill Gates, I'm not going to forget him, Marcell Ozuna. We talk about this guy seemingly every day. At the beginning of the season, it was all negative. Now it seems to be all positive. And he did homer tonight. He had 2 hits and 3 chances. His batting average is up to 222. And again, if you know where his batting average was, which I think the lowest he got to was 068. he's doing pretty well. So it's exciting to watch Marcell Ozuna right now and what he's doing. He seems to have found something. I read an article today that I really thought we should mention because Ozuna credits, his success right now to one thing, and that's hard work. And I think we have to take that into consideration because there's a lot of times we don't see what these guys are doing. We don't get to see it. It's behind closed doors. I think it's a lot of guys out there that, want to, how do I put this? There's a lot of guys out there that want to point out the negative. And look, I was right there with them. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. We didn't see anything that was saying, hey, Ozuna's going to get out of this slump. He's going to get out of this funk. He's going to be what we need him to be. We did not see that. And now we are. And it's a great thing to see, especially considering you're down Freed, you're down Wright. You've been down so many guys this year. It's nice to see that a guy that you thought a couple of years ago when we extended him, he was going to be the bat that he was in 2020. Well, guys, he's getting pretty close to that level. And I'm not saying he's there yet, but his stats are going up. His attitude is going up. And you know what? If it gets to a point where he's that high ranked, it wouldn't surprise me on a couple of things. It wouldn't surprise me if they traded him because you could potentially get him out the door if you just wanted to. If some of those, feelings of, hey, this isn't working out are still hanging on no matter how successful he's being, if you can get something valuable back, maybe that's an option. But also the idea of keeping him around would be an option and a very good option based on what we're seeing right now. This year, he is leading the league in one thing, and that is max exit velocity, 115 miles per hour off the bat. And guys, he's been very good. He's got a high hard hit percentage, high exit velocity percentage, and a high barrel percentage. So his walk rate is going up, which I think is the biggest thing. I would like to see his chase rate across the past few years, and I'd really like to do a breakdown of Marcell Ozuna's improvement to kind of find out what was something that I thought, could be the reason he's done so much better lately. But I'll point you to one thing. If you're out there and you're like, hey, I'm going to do a deep dive on this, I want to know what's going on with Ozuna. I pointed out a few years ago, his chase rate was just through the roof. And, it's if you watched from the beginning, you heard Dale Murphy in that introductory interview hot stove event that I always play. Dale Murphy said something that Ted Williams had told him. You got to find a better pitch to hit. And it seems like Ozuna's finding a lot more of those pitches. So hopefully that will be the trend going forward. But again, great night for the Braves tonight. They win 8-5. Dylan Dodd on the mound did what he needed to do. The bullpen held together. Nice to see A.J. Minter with a not clean inning, but a better inning, better outing. Still not great. We want to see him do better. He did give up a run, but a run is much better than 3 runs. And I think having him in the 7th inning in a game like this is much better than having the game on the line. I think ultimately he's got to get out of it. I don't know what the answer is. The Braves are not going to trade him. I know that idea has been put in the chat already. They're not going to trade him. He's going to have to just work through this. They're not going to do that. What I will say is I don't think the Braves have extended him. So for those of you guys out there that are just hating on A.J. Minter right now, I don't believe they have extended him. I am not one of those people. I wouldn't be, I'm not saying go extend him right now because there is certainly reason to doubt his ability. I think we've seen it this year. I mean, an ERA north of 7 is obviously not what you want to do, what you want to have on your team. But also realize that ERA could change in the second half and, he'd be straightened out and we would forget about it that quickly. He's pitched 22 innings this year. He's got a 7.36 ERA through that. He is a free agent in 2025. He's arbitration eligible in 2024. They haven't extended him. Ideally for him, he goes to free agency on a much better note than what it has been so far, but it honestly has just not been the case so far this year. So that's how I feel about the A.J. Minter saga. Nick Anderson had a clean inning with 2 strikeouts. Raisel Iglesias also had a clean inning with a strikeout. So Kirby Yates only gave up 1 hit tonight. So I think, that's good signs. I mean, they've played some great teams these past few weeks. It's kind of nice to be back in the NL East where we kind of know what we're dealing with. And I say that loosely because the Phillies are still a good team. But what you have the ability to do in the next 3 days is really put the Phillies out of it. The Nationals are 10 games back out of first. We put the Phillies tonight 8 games back. So that is something to keep in mind. The Mets are still sitting at 5.5. They must have won today. I haven't seen the results. Yeah, they won in a big way. They won 10-1 against the Cubs. So it's you want to be able to win, and when you're playing teams that again you're familiar with, you can break down. You always tend to, I think, play better. Now the same could be said for the Phillies. The Phillies, had offense tonight. I mean, we were talking about earlier. Bohm homered, Stott doubled, Harper homered. So they've had plenty of offense to win tonight, but it just didn't happen. So ultimately, that's kind of where I'm at on it. It was a good win, and I think rolling into tomorrow, it's only going to get better because you started today with Dylan Dodd on the mound, and as good as Dylan Dodd is, as good as he's been for the Braves in terms of keeping them in the game, you start tomorrow with a legit starting pitcher, at least a guy that's been fairly decent for the Braves this year, in Jared Schuster. That is who will be taking the mound tomorrow. He is 1-2 on the year. He's got a 5.49 ERA, 15 strikeouts. You might be looking at that going, Tyler, it's a 5 ERA, but it's a guy who has some experience, certainly more than Dylan Dodd. Now, they were right there together in spring training, but he's been a guy that they can count on. Also realize they're going up against a guy, Taijuan Walker, who, first of all, has a 5.79 ERA. He's 3-2 on the year. Not bad. But the Braves also tend to mash against Taijuan Walker. I'm not saying they're going to. I mean, everybody has a cold day. But I'm telling you, every game that I feel like I've seen that Taijuan Walker has pitched and the Braves have played against him, the Braves have hit pretty well. So the offense is what's going to have to show tomorrow, and it certainly showed today. So good things are ahead. Again, finishing out this series, Game 3 will be on Saturday. That'll be Charlie Morton versus Zach Wheeler. Get your popcorn ready for that one because that's going to be a pitcher's duel. And Sunday, the Phillies have not announced a starter. I'm not up to date enough on the Phillies to really tell you who I think would start that game for the Phillies. But I will tell you that Spencer Strider will be starting for the Braves, and he's going to be looking for a bounce-back game after that last outing he had. Did not pitch particularly well. So he's going to be looking for a bounce-back, and typically with Spencer Strider, if he's looking for a bounce-back, he's going to get it. All right, so we're going to get into what you guys want to talk about here in just a second, but before we do, I do want to remind you to please like this video. It gets this video out there for me, helps support the channel. Also, follow me on social media. The tag is down below. That is on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, go shop On Deck because On Deck, the merchandise is out there. I already saw Jake Hobby commented that he's wearing his On Deck shirt right now. A lot of you guys have been buying this stuff lately. We have stickers, we have hoodies, we have shirts, we have signs, we have pennants, we have anything you can think of with my logo on it. We pretty much got it. So go check it out. The link is down below. The QR code will be on the screen momentarily. Go check out the On Deck shop. Guys, I've been buying stuff left and right. Now, to be fair, my name is on it, but hey, I would love for you guys to rep it at the next ball game you go to, any way, shape, or form. Really would appreciate that support, but if you can't do that, the best thing you can do is, of course, liking the video and subscribing to the channel and helping us grow. Really do appreciate it. And, of course, share the video if you have some friends out there that like the Braves or just like baseball. We, of course, will take anybody that likes talking baseball. All right, let's talk about what you guys want to talk about. We're jumping into it right now with the comments section. Thank you guys again for all tuning in. Manny says hello. Steven says hello. Austin says, with him doing really well right now, do you think we will see Michael Soroka soon? It's funny you bring this up, Michael, because I can tell you didn't watch last night. We talked about this an awful lot, and I mean this in a good way. Soroka is absolutely coming back soon. When that opportunity is, I don't know. If Dylan Dodd didn't exactly pitch himself into the starting rotation today. I say that with all due respect to what he did today, but 4 earned runs in 5 innings isn't exactly stellar, right? I think we can all agree there. Michael Soroka could be given the next opportunity. You got to consider options. The magic number that the Braves were looking for Michael Soroka to get to in AAA was 100 pitches. And to feel good afterwards, I think, is the key thing there. And Brian Snitker said pretty clearly the other day that, hey, he feels good and he's there when we need him. So I think the answer to your question is the next time the Braves feel like they need a pitcher, they're going to turn to Michael Soroka. Because, Kyle Wright and Max Fried are not coming back anytime soon. As much as we may want them to, as much as we would like them to, it's not happening anytime soon. And yes, the Braves have a cushion with 5.5 games, but they don't want to get rid of that lead. And there is a small part of me that says this on principle alone. The Braves want Michael Soroka back. If you're honest with yourself, you know that they want that man to debut back on the home mound and be a part of this team. Because who wouldn't? We're all rooting for this guy. Every baseball fan is rooting for this guy. Even Frank the Tank himself is rooting for Michael Soroka to come back. And rightfully so, because Michael Soroka was one of the best pitchers in baseball. All of a sudden, he had it taken away from him just like that. And he's been through so much since the injury. Not only the first Achilles tear, the second Achilles tear, the hurdles along the way, whatever the case may be, the hamstring injury at the beginning of spring training. There's been a number of things to get in his way. I would absolutely love it if we saw Michael Soroka take the mound again. And I think every Braves fan would. I think the Braves organization would. So in terms of, do I think Michael Soroka is coming back soon? You bet. I really do. Chris Kaysen says, huge win, Atlanta Braves and Braves country. You're absolutely right. It's a great win over the Philadelphia Phillies. Hey guys, before we continue in the comment section, do want to remind you that Super Chats do get priority. It's the only way I can really narrow it down, so please keep that in mind. Super Chats do get you moved to the front of the line to get your questions answered a little bit quicker. Otherwise, we're going to go straight down the line and answer as many of these as we can, as quickly as we can. And if you do Super Chat, I do try to take a little longer on the answers, too. I try to give you a little more for your money. All right, let's see. Scooter Puff, which is a hilarious name, by the way, says, I was asking for a 5-6 non-disaster from Dodd tonight, so that's pretty much exactly what I got. It was almost worse, though. Yeah, like I said, Dodd, he pitched good enough for the Braves to stay in the game. Of course, it led to a victory, but it's not like he won the game, right? He didn't get credited for the win, and if you're wondering, just for the record, the guy that did get credited for the win was Nick Anderson. So it's not like he gave up, a huge, inning or anything. If he did, it would have been the second. But I'm not sure there was ever a time that the Phillies were leading. There was at one point the Phillies were leading. One point the Phillies were leading. That was in the top of the second. So that was the biggest inning he gave up. Bohm homered, Stott doubled and knocked in Marsh. That was really about it. So they led for a little while, but not long. You never felt like the Braves were out of the game when Dodd was on the mound. When Harper tied it up, that was kind of the Phillies' chance to really get to him, and he finished the inning, and the Braves got out of it, and the bullpen took over from there, and that's kind of the end of it. The Braves were able to score late. So, he didn't pitch good enough, I think, to warrant another guaranteed start. They very well could run him out there, but I don't think he pitched well enough to be like, yeah, that guy's definitely getting a start. Not like Bryce Elder did throughout the beginning of the season. Not like Jared Schuster did in his last appearance. So that's kind of my thought on that. Again, good enough to win, but not good enough to necessarily warrant it. That's kind of why I think the next time his spot rolls around, they could turn to Soroka. Not saying it's going to happen, but it's certainly a possibility. But yeah, you got what you asked for. 5-6 non-disaster innings from Dodd is what you were looking for. That's a reasonable expectation, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. I would say the non-tenured baseball fan out there that hasn't been watching for a very long time or doesn't necessarily know how baseball works is going to be like, why are we putting a guy out there who is going to throw 5 innings and give up 4 runs? Why would we do that? Because it at the end of the day, with this offense, it gives the Braves a chance to win. And I think when you realize that, it's the right move, it's the move that could get the Braves through the marathon, not the sprint, right? Philip Nichols says, great win tonight. Remember, Bill Gates Says, remember all those Ozuna haters? Where all y'all now? Look, I was there. I'm not saying I was a hater, but I was one that had my suspicions that he may not be on the team very much longer because we weren't seeing the improvements. And that's not personal. It's not for any of the off the field stuff, although you have to mention it when talking about Ozuna's struggles. It's really not for that. It's simply he wasn't performing. And I'm glad he switched it around. But, it's going to take a little more. It's going to take a little longer, I think, for Braves fans to really come back to Ozuna. It just is. He's done exceptional these past few weeks, and who am I to question that? He's worked his tail off. He earns every bit of credit, including from me, from you, from everybody. But I think he's going to have to keep that up before Braves fans as a whole completely come back to the idea of Marcell Ozuna. Let's see. Scooter Puff says, I'm right. Oh, let me see. I'm going to skip past that. Jake Hobby says he's wearing the on-deck shirt, 2-for-0. He's 2-0 wearing the on-deck shirt. It's undefeated, baby. Let's see. Jake Hobby says, I will miss tomorrow's game going to a graduation. Look, as a man that has been to multiple graduations in the past few weeks, I feel for you. I really, really do. The person whose graduation I went to is sitting across from me, so I wanted to make sure she heard that. Let's see. Still not a fan of Marcell Ozuna, but I do respect the help he is giving to the Braves. That is from Jameson Meza. Look, I think if you're a fan of the Braves, ultimately you have to support the team, right? Like there's always going to be a guy who's maybe not your favorite. There's always going to be a guy who just rubs you the wrong way. And honestly, for me, there's not really a guy on the team that like I just outright can't stand. I mean, there's been a few over the years. Not going to name them, but there's been a few over the years that I'm like, man, I wish we could get rid of that guy. Ozuna never had that for me. It was more of a, he may get let go. It was never a, I want him to. It was more so, it wouldn't bother me if they did it. I would understand the reasoning behind it. But I understand that there are people out there who aren't fans of Marcell Ozuna and have that opinion. I understand there are people out there who aren't fans of, Orlando Arcia. They're not fans of Acuna because he bat flips. I mean, everybody has their preferences. For me, I'm a fan of just about everybody on the team. I want them to succeed because, frankly, I want the Braves to succeed. And for them to do that, the players have to. Let's see. Dylan Holloway, do you think we will see that young pitcher this year, A.J. Smith-Shawver? Based on what I've seen lately, I know he spent a very short amount of time at AA and immediately got taken to Gwinnett. He's done well in the AAA start 5 hours ago, so let's see what he did. I actually haven't had a chance to look at it. He pitched 7 innings. Wow. Of course, I can't see the actual stats. He pitched 7 innings, I think allowing 2 runs, so let me see if I can look at it. Striking out 8 and allowing just 2 earned runs. So if he's putting on games like that every other day, he may jump Soroka. He may jump Dodd. I mean, but is that going to happen every day? Tough to know, right? So he's been great. I haven't had a chance to really get eyes on him. I very well may take a trip to Gwinnett soon, particularly for that reason. But again, he threw 7 innings pitched tonight, struck out 8, and only had 2 earned runs. I mean, again, that can win you a ball game. Whether you're in the Gwinnett, whether you're in Major League level. You only give up 2 earned runs across 7 innings. That's going to put you in the conversation of a very good starting pitcher, no matter what the level is. But again, that's one appearance, right? I told you a few weeks ago when we were talking about Soroka that you can't judge whether or not he's ready to come back or ready to come up based on a couple of appearances. You have to see some time there. And I don't know if you want to completely crush AJ's confidence by bringing it up to the majors. Do I think it could happen? Sure, I absolutely do. We've seen plenty of guys come up from AA and Michael Harris and Vaughn Grissom these past few years. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if one of the biggest pitching prospects comes up to the majors when the Braves are desperately needing starting pitching. So that's my take on that. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Is he ready for it? Again, I don't know, but it would not surprise me. That's what I'll leave you with there. Let's see. Yasuki Knight tunes in, or Yasuke, however you say it. Yasuki Knight is how I choose to say it. He says, good win for the Braves tonight. Absolutely. Richard Davis tunes in. Good to hear from old Richard. Thanks for tuning in. Preston Young says, I know we talked about this last night, but Ozzie is unreal batting as a righty. Yeah, we did talk about it last night. I'll make mention of it again. You know, I pulled up the splits for you last night on Baseball Savant, and there is some truth to it. You know, I've always kind of thought, I've brought it up before anyway, about the idea of Ozzie switching or not switch hitting because of how well he does as a right-handed hitter. Now the question is, how well does he do as a right-handed hitter against right-handed pitching, right? Because that's the stat that we don't know. That's the stat that we don't have. Not at least not in great numbers. So looking at that, so against lefties, he's hitting 441. Against righties, he's hitting 169. So as a right-handed hitter, he is hitting 441 on a batting average, and as a left-handed hitter, he's hitting 169. The OPS is 1281 versus 551. But again, we don't have the stat, at least I don't have it readily available, and you probably don't have it because it's happened so rarely that, you know, if ever, that he's hit right-handed against a right-handed pitcher. It just does not happen. So it's tough to know how successful he would be in that situation. I mean, he obviously feels more comfortable the other way, which is something that you got to realize. He obviously feels comfortable switch hitting, so that's why he's doing it. Otherwise, he would just do it the other way. So he probably feels like he can at least see the ball better, which I think is obvious, being that that is the advantage of switch hitting. But can he catch up to the fastball? That's the biggest question, and I think that's kind of what he's battling right now. Vision Music Works says, so much fun at the game tonight. Man, you go to every game, I swear. Great crowd. Pitching made me a little nervous at times, but great win tonight. Yeah, absolutely. I think the crowd is always great. I've yet to go to a game this year. It's driving me crazy. I'm usually at about 5 or 6 by now. But I will get there soon, and I'm looking forward to it. The pitching, of course, had a right to make you nervous tonight, especially with how the bullpen's been lately, and especially considering you had somebody like Dodd on the mound who's new to the game and that kind of thing. But I appreciate you going to the game. I think it says a lot about you to go to all these games, Vision, because you go to an awful lot of them. Jameson says, Stone Cold Steve Austin crushing Nola. Yeah, Austin, did he hit both homers against Nola tonight? I guess he did. Yeah, I guess he did. So Austin sees the ball really well off Nola. I'll give you a quick little fact. If I have that video ready, which I really hope I do. I don't. If I'm not mistaken, Austin Riley's first homer was against Nola. And I was actually in attendance for it. I have the video of it somewhere. I'm not going to kill myself to find it now, but it was against Nola. And again, I was there. Great moment for him. But yeah, I mean, he's always hit Nola well. I guess he sees the ball really well there. I don't know. Maybe knowing that he hits him well, coming in with that confidence could help him. I got to get that video where I can grab it. But yeah, Riley had a great game tonight. I mean, 2 homers. You can't really ask for much more at the plate. His defense is always stellar. So yeah. Bill Gates wants to know, did I get a bobblehead? I did not. If you have an extra one and you want to give me the Outcast bobblehead, please send it my way. I will take it. I have plenty in front of me right now, but I did not get a bobblehead. So if there's anyone out there who wants to get me one, I would appreciate it. Chris Kaysen, oh sorry, you guys have conversations in the chat to yourselves a lot of times, and I get to reading these chats, and I don't know who's who and who's talking to who or whatever, but I'm glad that you guys do. I mean, it's creating the community, and that's why you guys, if you haven't already, should subscribe. Let's see. Yeah, Jameson says Austin had a web gem to turn an incredible double play. He did. I saw it. Looked great. And that's the thing. Like, I tell you guys all the time, a lot of you, and I don't mean this as negative, but a lot of you guys kind of harp on when somebody's not performing at the plate. But there's going to be times where people slump. Now, the extended periods, the Ozuna periods where you take a year off, that's unexcusable. However, like this Riley slump that he's had, the Olsen slump a little earlier in the year, even the Ozzie slump, it's gonna happen. However, something that cannot slump is defense. That and pitching, it can't slump. Defense is the number one thing that has to be there every day. Michael Harris has that ability. Olsen has that ability. Riley has that ability. I would say Orlando Arce and Ozzie Albies have that ability. Your corner outfielders, Ronald Acuna has it. Left field, it's Rosario's good, but he's a good defender. I shouldn't say that, but he's not exactly like in the lineup every day. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So if 8 out of your 9 players on the field have great defense, then you're doing a very good thing. You're going to be a competitive ball club because you're not going to let any ground ball be an easy single or an easy hit to get through the infield. And we are lucky that even without Dansby Swanson, we have one of the best infields in the game. So just keep that in mind. Guys, we're not going to go as long as we did last night tonight. I do want to let you know that. It is 11:38 now. We are cutting this off at midnight tonight. So again, Super Chats do get you moved to the front of the line. If you want to guarantee yourself me answering your question, that's the way to do it. But I just want to make that and put that out there. We are cutting it off at midnight tonight. I got to get some sleep, and you got to get some sleep. So do want to let you know that. Let's see. Scooter Puff, if there is one negative note I have from tonight's game, it's Minter struggling yet again tonight. This has become a really serious issue for us. Yeah, you're right. Minter was a guy that the Braves were expecting to be absolutely great this year, much like he was last year. He had like a 2 ERA last year. We're up to 7.5 now, so it's not exactly what the Braves wanted, expected, and just leading to a lot of issues. I will not deny that. I do think he can break out of it, but it's going to need, he's going to need some work either with the pitching coach, maybe time off, maybe time in Gwinnett. I don't know. But it's definitely something going on. This is not one game. This is not the game where he, gave up the home run to Yordan Alvarez. If you can't tell, I've had a day. Yordan Alvarez, the 2 hits against Houston. Maybe that, is having a psychological effect. I don't know. I don't see a huge decline in the velocity. So I don't know, but he did, like Chris Kaysen says, did look a little better tonight. Maybe there is some positive there. For me, it's just tough to know what's going on because there's nothing really that points to a problem. At least, one that is obvious to the eye. I just don't see it. Richard Davis says Ozuna looks better than anyone on the team now batting. He isn't swinging at crap out of the zone. His word, not mine. Yeah, and that, again, I told you a few years ago, that was one of his biggest issues. If you look at Baseball Savant, it takes one look to look at his, his contact rate, the chase rate, I should say. Ozzie Albies has a really bad chase rate right now, and it's leading to that slump, I think. You look at how much he's chasing out of the zone, it's up there. And I think you have to realize that Ozuna last year had one of the highest chase rates. Now he's kind of average, and because of that, he's seeing more competitive pitches. And that's what I think makes him successful, is that he sees the pitches that are in the zone that he can make contact with. Because, look, the guy's got the swing. He has a barrel percentage that's in the high percentile. He's got a hard hit percentage in the high percentile. Now he's even got a walk rate in the high percentile. That's the kind of thing that, is going to make him a good hitter, is selecting that pitch, getting better pitches. Johnny T with the super chat. He says he's on Hawaii time. I don't even know what time it is there. What time is it in Hawaii? Megan, what time is it in Hawaii? Do you know? You don't know? I don't know. See if you can find out for me. Johnny T says he is on Hawaii time. I think the Braves can get to 53 wins realistically by the All-Star break and be in a good spot. Well, let's take a deep dive in that since you super chatted. Let's see what I think the Braves could do. Of course, they are 31 and 18 now. They could get to 53 wins by the All-Star break. Let's see how feasible that is, because I don't know how many more games we have prior to the All-Star break. But we have a 3-game set now with the Phillies, so that's 3 plus a 3-game set with the A's. So that's 9, so then 12, 15, Ooh, yeah. I mean, and the teams we're facing, I mean, other than the Mets, aren't really like stellar. That's 18, 21, 22. I don't know if I passed the All-Star break yet. I mean, I'm already passing a bunch of games that I think are winnable. Somebody put in the chat when the All-Star break is, if you can. Really would appreciate that. The All-Star break, I'm looking for it, but I don't see it. Okay, found it. So 53 wins, right? You got two. I'm going to go back. I'm going to work backwards here. They're at 31. It's 5:14 p.m., I think. 5:41? All right, 5:41 p.m. for Johnny T. So not that bad. It's not like you're tuning in at 1 in the morning, but I'll still give you the acknowledgement. Thank you for watching from Hawaii. That's pretty cool. If you wore your on deck shirt, I'd be really proud of you. All right, so working backwards here, and I'm doing this because you super chatted Johnny T. So I want you to know that. You got 31 wins right now. You're predicting that the Braves can get 53. So they need, what's 53 minus 31? That's what, 22? You would need 22 wins out of the next 3 plus 4. That's 7. Basic math. I don't know how many games they have left. I'm trying to find that out quick, but it's tough. I'm doing this live, so don't judge me. But you got 3 with the Phillies, 3 with the A's, that's 6. 3 with the Diamondbacks, that's 9. 3 with the Mets, that's 12. 3 with the Nationals, 15. Detroit 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 34, 38, 42, 44, 48, 52, 56. It looks like they have 57 games left. You need 26 more wins. Is it 26? I think no. It's you need 22 more wins within the next 56 games. Is what July 9th is, because there's a long break between. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Hang on a second. So, sorry guys. I'm literally trying to finish this as we speak. July 9th is the All-Star. Okay, yes, I see it now. Okay, thank you. So you need 22 wins in 4 plus 8 plus 12 plus 16 plus 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So you would need 22 wins in the next, 40 games? I think that's doable. Yeah, Drama, you're not kidding. 22 wins in the next 40 games. Yeah, 40 games. Could he do that? I mean, it's possible. It's a little over 500. So, assuming you need, 2 games over 500 here? And I want you to think about who you're facing. You got 3 games with the Phillies. You have 3 games with the A's in Oakland. So, take that for what it is. But it's still the soon-to-be moving Oakland A's, who have no hope this year. So just keep that in mind. And then the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are actually playing fairly well. The Mets they're always a good series. But then you got the Nationals, the Tigers, the Rockies, who are eternally bad. The Phillies again. The Reds, the Twins, who I actually don't know how they're doing this year, to tell you the truth. Then you got the Marlins, the Guardians, who are competitive, the Rays, who've been really good this year, and then you got the White Sox. Well, that's after the All-Star break. So you have games that you expect to win, and there's games that you'd have to win to make that happen. But assuming, you do this without Max Fried and Kyle Wright, I mean, that's saying a lot about this team. Truthfully. So do I think it could happen 22 out of the next 40? Yeah, I do. Especially if you get a Michael Soroka randomly just dropped into your hat. Yeah, I think it could happen. So, Johnny T, you made me work for it, but I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the Super Chat. And again, Super Chats do get you moved to the front of the line. And you guys got about 14 minutes before we cut it off, so just want to make sure you know that. Let's go ahead and check on back up here. Hope that did you well, Johnny T. Do I think they can do it? I certainly do when you look at the schedule and when you look at how many games they got to do it. We'll check back on that. Remind me around the All-Star break if I forget to, if it happens especially, let me know, because I may forget. Austin, do you think the Braves will use Ozuna's good performance to trade him, or will they hang on to him? Well, here's the thing, because I've flirted with this a good bit, because when it comes to Ozuna, it goes like this, right? The Braves, if Ozuna was doing okay, I think they trade him if they can. But because he's hitting so well, arguably the best on the team right now, at least for the past couple of weeks, I don't know if you shake that. I mean, I don't know if you get rid of that, because as much as the Braves have stuck by this guy, I mean, he's doing very well, and this is what you've been waiting on. You know, you can get rid of him and have the salary dump, but how good is that? It's gone next year anyway, or after next year anyway. So that's my take on it. I think if he has a major drop off, then you try to do something. But you know, other teams don't want it. Sorry guys, I got the hiccups. Other teams don't want him if he's got this major drop off. So when it comes to Ozuna, there's a lot there that, you know, needs more. How do I put this? It's tough to make that decision. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. The guy that does have to make that decision is Alex Anthopoulos. You know, could they get rid of him? I think if the right deal comes along, they will. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see a lot of teams going out there trading anybody and everybody for Marcell Ozuna unless they just need a bat. He's not going to be in the field. He's kind of hard to trade for that reason. So for my money, I think the Braves are probably going to hang on to him. But, you know, it'll be what it'll be. Somebody says, I like the fact that Marcell Ozuna did not die down to Will Smith messaging behind the plate. He should probably back up when he's in the box. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it's something to keep an eye on, but I don't think it's anything that's going to carry over. If Ozuna by chance hits him again in the backswing, then we might have a different discussion. But I don't know that it's necessarily something that's going to carry over. They might be on different teams before the next time something like this happens. Peach State Explorer, he says, hey brother, it's Peter from the Big Peach Antique Mall in Byron. Something you guys probably don't know about me is I am a bit of an antiquer. When I say antiquer, I look for antique baseball stuff primarily. One of the best shops I've ever been to is the Big Peach Antique Mall in Byron. It's kind of near Macon, if I'm not mistaken. But no, you ought to go check it out. Peter's great over there. Helped me last time I was there. I believe I got a Jeff Francoeur signed bat and a couple other things from there. So yeah, go check out the Big Peach Antique Mall in Byron. They are big supporters of me, so please go check them out. They got a great shop. It's a good day trip, put it that way. And you plan to be there for a while. Drama says, Will Smith... if you are a 90s WWE fan, you will understand this reference. It says, Will Smith needs to know his role and shut his mouth. That is straight from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You know, my take on that is, if you don't want to be hitting the head, Marcell Ozuna's in the box. Everybody knows he's got a very long backswing. I'm probably going to back up. And be honest with you, if there's one guy I don't want to fight, it's probably Marcell Ozuna. No pun intended. Anyway, Richard Davis says, Snit has not used the pin right so far this year because of the injuries. Partly. That is part of Minter's problem. I definitely think there's better ways to use it, but I think a lot of it is due to the injuries. I mean, you didn't have Raisel Iglesias for a long time. You know, he's had one blown save this year, but majority of the time Iglesias is locked down. I think Nick Anderson's a guy that you can count on in the 8th a good bit. Minter, if all else fails, you know, in the 7th. But, you know, it's tough because there's not a lot of guys you can turn to in the bullpen. I mean, Jesse Chavez, as much as he's a fan favorite, as much as I like Jesse Chavez, you know, he's a guy that can give you length, but it's not a guy that, you know, it's not a guy that you want in leverage situations. Kirby Yates, they're trying to get to that point. That's why I think you saw him tonight. But there's not, it's not exactly like we have a pen full of, you know, a pen full of great arms. And I mean that with all due respect to all these guys. They're not exactly, you know, all-stars, all of them, right? Like, you have to balance that. You have to find the guys that can give you length, the guys that you can call in when the game's on the line. And right now, the guys that we typically call, like A.J. Minter, haven't exactly been that. But I will say A guy that is typically that way would be Gregory Soto, but now that he's on the Phillies, he has a 5.73 ERA and he gave up 3 runs tonight. So it's all perspective. The Braves are going to struggle at times. The bullpen's going to struggle at times, but I don't think you can single-handedly blame that on Snit, especially with all of the injuries he's been battling. I never agreed on the bullpen game. I think that's the worst thing you can do to a team because it puts everybody in a spot they don't want to be. Michael Tonkin, I know he's on the injured list now, 15-day IL, but Michael Tonkin's a guy who has been phenomenal this year. And I hated to see him go to the injured list, honestly, because I think he's been that good, especially for multiple innings. He's the guy they can turn to for that. I will also say that I think they've turned to him a little too much, especially in the bullpen games. But that's my take on it. We'll see. Let's see. I'm not a complete hater on AJ Minter, but he's got to get it figured out sooner rather than later. It's almost June. We can't afford to keep giving up games just trying to get AJ right. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing where, does he go to Gwinnett? Is that the next move? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's going to take a little more for them to be convinced of that because, again, there's nothing in the outright stats. There's nothing in the baseball savant type analytics that I can find that's like, this is the difference from AJ Minter last year to AJ Minter this year. I think it's more of the approach. That's all I can really say. And I will say again that I think tonight he looked better than he has before. He looked a little bit more confident. But, where is that going to be come postseason? And I think that's the biggest question. Baseball Hut tunes in. If you're a Mets fan, Baseball Hut is your show. That is the one you need to tune into. We've done some pieces together. He's a very good guy over there. Baseball Hut, go check him out. You know what? I'll say this about Baseball Hut. As much as I joke about Frank Fleming, as much as I joke about Frank the Tank, Baseball Hut is the closest thing to me that the Mets got. A sensible podcaster that just comes on here and tries to tell you how it is. It's none of the emotional stuff. It's none of the crazy stuff. Baseball Hut's a very good person to go check out. And it's a very sensible perspective. So that's what I would say about Baseball Hut. But again, we've done some pieces together. I'm on his channel somewhere. But you ought to go check it out. Thanks, Baseball Hut, for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Bravos 1. I'm going to tune past that. You guys are arguing. Hato Mato. Hello, Tyler. Good seeing you on the live. Hato Mato, it's good seeing you on the live. Really do appreciate it. Let's see. Preston Young, what's your thoughts on Acuna wearing pink and yellow? I know a lot of people hate how he drifts from the team colors. I love it personally. It seems to be a divide between older generations and younger. I personally don't care either way. I think it looks honestly kind of cool. But I'm also 23. You have to keep that in mind. As much as I'm a purist, I think having that personal style makes him a little bit more unique and makes him a little bit more of a person, not just a person in the lineup, if that makes sense. Now, that said, I absolutely hate the quick read pitch. The patch. I hate it. It looks terrible. Do I think everybody should be able to do what Acuna does? No. But the way he does it looks good. It looks presentable, and I don't see a problem with it. Other people may not like it. That's their business. I personally don't mind it at all. LD says the Riley slump lasted over 450 plate appearances going back to last year. Glad he's coming around, though. Yeah, look, it takes a while, guys. I mean, he produced okay, but, it's I don't know if you guys know this or not, but these people get paid an awful lot of money, and it's because baseball is very hard. And if you don't believe me, just play a round of MLB The Show for the first time. If you've never played it, guys, it will humble you. I promise you, it will absolutely humble you to play that game. I made somebody play it the other day just to show them how hard it was to face Bob Gibson or somebody like that throws 103 miles an hour and then has a 56-mile-an-hour curveball. It's not exactly an easy thing to play. So, we can talk about how long a slump lasts or how bad a player is playing, but until you gain a little bit of perspective and kind of see how difficult that is, just watch the catcher cam, on some of these broadcasts. I mean, guys, it is not easy to read those pitches. I don't care how good your eyes are. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Derek Smith says, make sure to like the stream. Thank you for that. And he says, thanks for everything. Tyler, no, Derek, thank you. Really appreciate the support. All I ask for is for people to like the video. All I ask for is to keep coming back to watch the streams. We do as many of these as we can. Of course, we did these on back-to-back nights. We can't do them every night, but we do them as much as we can. So we're going to be doing them a little bit more going forward, as many as I can. And I really do appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. And, of course, the Super Chats are always a good thing. But as long as you guys tune in, that makes my day as well. So, again, thank you for that. And I think we're going to wrap it up here in just a minute. So if you have a question, get it in. But while I'm waiting on that, I do want to remind you to go check out our friends at FOCO. The link is down below. I don't have a graphic sitting here ready to go for it, but I will tell you that FOCO is a leading brand in all things sports, all things entertainment, merchandise. They have bobbleheads, they have shirts, they have shorts, they have hats. Anything with a Braves logo that you want, they have it at a good price. So go check out the link below. They're also really big supporters of this channel, and if you use the code, get ready for it, On Deck 10, you get 10% off. So make sure you check that out. At least go check out the collection. Link, again, is down below under the FOCO bobbleheads line. But also, if you want to spend some money, some extra money tonight, go check out the On Deck shop. Again, we have stickers, we have shirts, we have hoodies, we have whatever you could want with a logo on it, it's on there. So go check out. That link is down below as well. And, of course, the QR code is right over there. So make sure to check that out. Really would appreciate it. And look, if I ever see you at a game and you're wearing an On Deck shirt, we're best friends at that point. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Wear it to a game, we're automatically best friends. So again, go check out the On Deck shop. And again, please make sure to like the video and subscribe. The last thing I'm going to answer is from, I'll answer a couple more. Hot Tomato says, great interview with Andrew Jones. Thank you very much. That got me a follow by Andrew Jones on Twitter. So, yeah, pretty cool to be a kid that grew up in the early 2000s and have an Andrew Jones follow you on Twitter. But, yeah, Andrew's great. I'm looking forward to seeing his number retired later on this year. I'm looking forward to eventually seeing him into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think he belongs there. I think it's a shame that it's taken this long. The guy has a decade of Gold Gloves, plus 400, plus homers. The guy belongs in Cooperstown. Fight me over it. I don't care. He belongs there. Last thing, Sean Sports Cards just got back to Augusta after going to the game. Great win, and go Braves. No better way to finish this. I love Augusta mainly because of the Masters, but yeah, glad you got home safe there, Sean. But again, no better way to finish it. The Braves win 8-5 tonight. Riley homers twice. Dylan Dodd gets the job done one way or another, and we're waiting on Michael Soroka very soon. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. So again, thank you for tuning in, and make sure to like and subscribe on the way out. We'll see you later.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.